exciting episode of Be Different Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Nekesa, and I'm glad that you guys are watching, commenting, and liking, and giving feedback. We don't take it for granted. So today with me, we have a very interesting guest, and we are going to listen to a very interesting story. Welcome, Muthoni. I'll let her to give us her full introduction. Welcome, Muthoni.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Muthoni Omondi.
Mm-hmm.
I was told to say that.
Wow.
The owner of the name told me to say that.
Okay.
Anyway, my name is Muthoni Omondi.
Mm-hmm.
A mother,
Mm-hmm.
a child,
Mm-hmm.
a wife, generally a person, an everyday person, a friend, and a person is on this journey called life.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Muthoni, we are excited to have you here at Be Different Podcast. And the reason why you're here is, of course, you've done something differently with your life. We were just talking about it, of course, before we started recording. And I was getting shocked. And you can imagine, I mean, I was getting shocked. But you'll tell us your story. You are a teacher by profession.
Yes.
And you have an engineering background, of course, even with a teaching background, but in terms of schooling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want you to give us a story of how you ended up there.
Well,
The long of it.
the
long story.
I've loved children.
Yeah.
Through my life.
Okay.
Even as I was coming, I was remembering how when my cousin was born, I was in Form 1.
Okay.
I was in Form 1.
Yeah.
And I was so eager to leave school to go and see him.
The baby.
Yes.
Oh.
So it was a small thing. So like I remember even my aunties one taught me how to change the diaper, because that's when diapers were still new.
Yeah.
So it was very exciting until till today. I can't believe he's 18 and I'm like, you I used to take care of you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a small things. I've always loved children. I guess also being an only child made me like children. Yes, I'm an only child, so it made me like children. So all along I've brought up I've taken care of my cousins. I used to, when my aunties maybe wanted to go for trips or they had something they were doing, I'd be the one they'd call. And because I'm the eldest grandchild in our family, I'm the oldest. Now the one who's after me is 18, so there was a big gap.
Okay.
And there are still others, and now there's one who is 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So I took care of them. And it was interesting because now it made me like kids. I guess I've always liked kids. So anyway, so I finished campus. And, I finished high school.
Yeah.
Took a break and I was like, let me see what will happen with my life. And then in the process, I got an internship with my uncle. He had an engineering firm.
Yeah.
I think that's when I realized, this working in an office is so mundane because you just wake up, you come, you sit down in the office.
This is after high school?
Yes, this is after high school.
Okay.
So you sit in the office. Yet it used to give me like a small allowance, but I was like, surely this is all there is to life. So I used to get so excited when it was time to go to the field. I used to be like, me, let me go, so that I go and see what is out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now I finished that internship, that short period, and then I applied now to come to university. And at the time, the in thing was environment. So I wanted to do environmental science. So I did I applied parallel, and then I got in, and I started my first year.
I want that definition of the in thing. This is from our parents and our parents' friends. This is from who's telling you the in thing at the time?
I guess society. Like, that's the time we're talking about environment. We need to take care of our environment. And then sciences were slowly coming up. And so that was going to be the next, career-wise, that was the next thing. Because now you had everyone was doing BA, BCom. And there was that notion for if you do those things, you won't get per se a job. Which in hindsight, I'm like, maybe it was not such a bad idea. I should have just done and done BCom. Because I've realized now, even as I was looking for jobs, you will never miss a BCom job. You will never miss the arts jobs.
At the end of the day,
yes, arts jobs are always there, so you will never miss a job. Anyway, so I applied and I got in to do environmental science at Chiromo. And I did 1 year and I finished. But along the way, I got a letter from JAB saying that I'd been taken in to do engineering. And my mom was like, because initially I'd refused. Then she was like, no, you have to go and do it. Now we'll finally have an engineer in the house.
Pause. Do you remember choosing the course? Because when JAB calls you, they call you based on the choices that you made when you were in high school. I remember we used to do those things when you were in Form 4.
Yes, in Form 4.
Either first term or second term. Those people just come. I don't know when. And they're always giving us forms and we are choosing things. So do you remember choosing the engineering course?
Personally, I don't remember. I just remember my parents were with me, but I can't tell you what we chose.
What went on?
I even thought I took medicine at some point.
Or maybe engineering was like your second choice.
I don't know. I don't remember what I chose.
Yeah.
So now when the letter came, it caught me by surprise because I was like, oh wow, I've been called to do engineering. And so a part of me was a bit excited because I was like, engineering, it's such a big name.
It is a very big name.
It's like a doctor or a lawyer. So it's a big name. And then more so, my mom was like, you see, you've gotten into JAB. And not everyone gets into JAB when you're doing such courses.
It's a big deal.
Yes, so it was a big deal. It was really a big deal. And for the longest time, my mom used to call me engineer. Anyone, even her friends knew I was an engineer.
Yeah.
If I was meeting her friends, she'd be like, hi, engineer. Hi, engineer. Everything was hi, engineer.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Such a
it's
big
interesting
deal.
how life takes a different
Yeah.
course. So anyway, I did my 5 years. So now total to 6 years in university, because now it was the first year and then now 5 years of engineering, which was interesting. It was a learning curve. It made me learn about myself. Yes, but halfway through, I think it was like second year or third year, I was like, I don't really feel this. I am not feeling this engineering course, so let me go and do what I wanted initially, which was teaching. Because again, I remember even...
Initially is when now?
Initially before going to campus, because I remember actually having a conversation with someone, and they're like, teaching doesn't pay you well, teaching is hard, why would you want to go and become a teacher? Like, why would you want to go and struggle? So I think that's now where I shelved teaching aside and then decided, let me do something else. But now come second year, third year, I remember I was in a Bible study and my leader's sister was doing teaching, and I was very excited about that, and she was doing Montessori somewhere along Kileleshwa, near Kileleshwa. There was a school that used to train teachers on how to the Montessori system. And so I wanted to do it, but then again, I had the school fees, and I was like, no, this one we can't afford because now it was expensive, and you can't compare with JAB, which was like 20K at the time. Yes. So then I sat down with myself and I told myself, you already left one course. You can't now leave another one to go and start another course. At least try and tell yourself you can finish something. Because then I didn't also want it to be a culture for, if I don't feel something, I quit and move to the next thing. Yes. So at least it was also for me to push myself to finish something.
And did your attitude change? Because you're saying 2.5, 3 years in.
No.
Did your attitude towards the education change, the papers, the exams?
No, I think I still did them well. Of course, there was a lot of mchezo, because again, you're in campus. There were a lot of games. I remember there are times we never even used to attend classes. So then 3 of my friends, we had crammed each other's signatures.
Wow.
So I was like, in the morning, I'm not coming, you sign for me.
Wow.
So it's a small thing, but I guess that's just what campus is about. But it was, I still finished.
But it's not, the missing classes is normal.
Yeah.
Used to happen since first year. It's not because of this change.
No. That was just normal. That was just normal. The change, the going to do
knowing
education.
What you really want,
yes.
And what you
that one, I think I just pushed it at the back of my mind. I was like, let me finish this. Let me see where this journey will go. Yes. If it's to be done later, let it be done later. But now let me see this through. Yes. So we finished campus. Although it was not in vain, because I got my husband in campus.
Oh, wow.
We were actually in the same class.
You just didn't graduate
As
with a degree only.
No. He's zero grades. That's what I joke about, because we're in the same class.
Oh, wow.
So even him, he says, if I didn't come here, probably would have never met. Okay. So at least that was a good thing. So anyway, I finished 2015, finished campus. I took a small break, and then come 2016, because now I was looking for jobs and there were no jobs.
So this is engineering. What
engineering.
Specifically?
So I did environmental engineering.
Okay.
But
there are no jobs for environmental engineers.
Okay.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
No, there were jobs.
Okay.
But now the challenge was also what we faced in school was we were not being given accreditation. by the engineering board.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not a course that they didn't recognize, which does not make sense considering it's in the university. And there were many of us who had challenges.
Okay.
Because I remember even a friend of mine who was in JQuat did electrical something, and then even them they were told they can't be accredited.
Oh.
So we were very many in this boat.
Okay.
So getting a job also was a bit tough because then they want you to be registered by the board, but the board is not also registering you.
Wow.
But in the long run, people were registered.
Okay.
There was a time we literally demonstrated and all that. We were like, why are you people doing this to us? So in the long run, I think it was 2016 or 2017, people were accredited.
Okay.
I just didn't have the passion to
So this is
push on.
2016.
Yes. So now 2016, as I'm busy looking for
You're
jobs.
not getting jobs?
Yes.
Are you looking for jobs in engineering field?
Yes, I was looking for jobs, especially my graduate trainees. So at least now it was easier to be taken in by the company after you finish the graduate trainee. Yes. But now they were not forthcoming. I even did, what is it called? Those tests for, was it Total? I remember there's one, and I went and come to think about it. We were also railways. What's Took. One day we were like this. I think we were like 200 people. And then we've sat in a very big hall. All of us into suits, to dresses. Actually, we've gone to do an exam. I was like, what madness is this?
The exam you've paid for, right?
No, at least it was free. We were
was
not paying.
free?
Yes, we were not paying. So it
You're
was, I
just
think,
looking
Total or
for-
something. It was like those graduate trainee programs.
Okay.
We were so many. We were so many. And that time, they weren't like 10. But it was so many, because now it's all engineering people or maybe like actuarial people. It was open to anyone.
Yeah.
I remember sitting and doing that exam, and halfway through I was like, now what is this surely? I remember there's one I also went for an interview. It was in Lavington. But it just didn't work. I don't know, maybe it was the Lord.
Yeah.
So anyway, 2016, I've looked for a job. This is not working. So my friend tells me her boyfriend's mom at the time has a school. So then I call and I'm like, can I come and volunteer? And she was like, fine, come and volunteer. And so I did that for a whole year. And I liked it. And it was a small school.
this
It was
is,
opening up.
Yeah, what exactly were your
I was helping. Because
tasks?
it was a small school. She had just opened the school. And it was one teacher.
Oh, wow.
So I was just there to help the teacher.
Okay.
So teaching, like setting exams, feeding them, playing with them. So that's now where that journey started. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. At some point, it used to be like, now what are you even doing there? My mom used to look at me, this one's for you, can't be serious.
A whole year?
A whole year.
Engineer?
Yes.
5 years?
Engineer. So now, shock upon shock, one day I tell her.
Are they giving you some allowances?
Yes,
At least something
yes, it
you're
was
taking
something
home.
small, at least to
Okay.
give me transport to go and come back.
Okay.
So come end of the year, now see, I'm talking to my teacher, and she's like, so you pursue this and do it full time. And I'm like, no, I'm still looking for a job. It's like, no, you just do it. So anyway, so she told me now even where she went to school.
Yeah.
So I went, I saw, oh, come back and do this. So I go and get application forms, and I come and tell my mom one day, I'm going to become a teacher. And my mom looked at me like, you're joking. I'm like, no, I'm being serious, I'm going. And I applied and got into the school.
The shock.
I got into the school come 2017, January.
Yeah.
This whole time my mom is like, no, you're joking.
Yeah.
And okay, one thing about my mom, she's supportive. Like even now when I was doing engineering, my mom used to be the person who used to sit up with me as I'm reading. Well, sometimes she'd sleep, but at least she's there with me in the room as I'm reading. Me at some point we all sleep, and then we wake up and like, oh, we're supposed to be reading. So she's that kind of person. Even my graduation, she was so excited when I graduated from campus because she was like, my engineer has come. And even my cake, because she's a baker, and she made I think a table long cake for the 5 years that I've been in school. Like it was quite big. It was I think this big. Literally, it couldn't. We had to carry it in a pro box because of how big it was, and it had to be carried by several people. Because that's just how excited she was. Like her engineer is graduating, so to come and tell her, I'm going to become a teacher. She looked at me like I had horns on my head. She thought I was going crazy.
Yeah.
She tells me at some point she even prayed. And she was like, no, we can't be doing this.
I'm sure she did.
But being the supportive mother she is, she supported me. Like we worked together.
Yeah.
And because like now even when I'd stay late up, because it was a very intensive course, we had to make most of the things. It was teaching materials. Yes, like if you're,
it's very practical.
It's very practical. So you had to make things. I remember there's even once I sent my dad because I was preparing for the next day, and he hadn't come home because he was working. I think it was midnight. We live in Westland, so Nakumatt UK still used to be. I told him, my friend Kim Omana, I need scissors. I told him I need scissors now because I'm trying to cut the things that are not cutting, and I need it for my class the next day. Because if I don't do it, then I have a problem. You know, he came from where he was, went, bought me scissors and came back. So it's the small things. I remember there's a day we were doing some knitting, and because I really hate knitting, I just told my mom, please, Saidia.
She didn't tell you engineer what
she was making noise at me as she was knitting. She was like, now what is this work? But so we still did it, and we finished. And so it was a very interesting because I really enjoyed my time there, and more so because they allowed you to do teaching practice in different schools. So it also exposed me to different schools and how they work and how kids are different. Like you go high end, you'd go to the middle. So kids are very different. So I guess that's also now it exposed me to how kids are. And yes, we finished, and I graduated top of my class.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was good. And then I finished. Then after that now, I get married. And 2018, I moved towns because my husband was in Eldoret. So now I moved towns. And so now Eldoret now is when I began my teaching, because now I immediately had finished school. And I went and started teaching now in Eldoret, now which also exposed me to a lot more. And then now here I am.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I can imagine, Muthoni. Of course, I have several questions. You said Omondi.
Yes.
You were in the same class. Is he doing engineering?
No.
Is he practicing?
No. And that's the thing. I think I've learned with engineers, many don't practice what they've done.
Okay.
Unless the few maybe who do like mechanical or civil. But if you're doing all these others, majority don't practice. Because I can tell you even in my own class, not everyone ended up practicing what they were doing. Others went to sales. So him currently he's sort of in sales. But others went into sales. Others went into designing. Others are now school. I mean, you decided to go the academic route. So we're reading now to go and now we'll teach the others. Yes. So
the reactions of the people around you. So what did he think? Because you said you guys know each other since campo. What did you, let's finish with Omondi first.
He was okay.
Okay.
He was okay. He was okay.
You know, the difference in attitude towards the engineering profession and the teaching profession. So there's a whole difference in terms of...
No, him, he was supportive.
Okay.
Yes. At least I never faced any challenges with him. His was supportive, yes. To the point that even today he still pushes me, go and do a master's maybe in child psychology or something. He still wants me to get better at it. I'm on hold for that now.
Okay, you will tell us that one. And your mom now.
My mom
Let's
now
go back to your parents, rather. Your parents.
My mom appreciates now where I've come from, especially like now even seeing my child. She appreciates where I've come from. It took some time for her to open up. Because initially I'd tell her, why not an engineer become a teacher? Do I have to not have done engineering to become a teacher? You get? And I always used to tell her, it's even better now that I'm an engineer, because at least I'm open-minded, yes, as compared to, and then because unfortunately there's been the notion I didn't do well in exams, there's not much else for me to do, so let me become a teacher. Oh, wow. And that used to be the notion.
That's the attitude.
Yes, that's the attitude, that's the notion.
That we have towards the teaching profession, unfortunately.
And it even, like I used to get so upset, like even now when you're dealing with parents, parents are looking down at you, lessons for you're just a teacher. And I'm like, but I'm the one who is with your child. I'm the one molding your child. Yeah. I feel like teachers really need to be paid a lot of... I think we need to be treated better than we are treated.
That's definitely...
Yes.
That's very true.
And then, more so, preschool teachers, because I'm a preschool teacher.
Okay.
Preschool teachers are looked down upon the most, even amongst teachers.
Oh.
Yes, even amongst like other teachers. Preschool teachers, you're like the bottom tier.
Yeah.
Yet we're the ones who do everything.
You do so much.
Because by the time a child is coming to you, they don't know how to speak, they don't know how to write. Others even used to come with potty, as in they've not been potty trained. Others don't know how to eat, because I have fed kids in school. I have potty trained kids in school.
And we are becoming, as parents, now I'm talking
Yes.
from the parent side, we are becoming worse in terms of
Yes.
wanting to send kids to school very early.
Yes.
We're just like, excuse me, please,
Do.
as soon as you can walk,
Yes.
go.
Yes, which is
And they're
unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, at some point even my mom used to be like, why are you going to become like a house help? You know? Yeah, because, you know, it's been equated
That's
as...
the attitude. But then it's really, it's
Yes.
terrible.
There's a time I even used to tell her we used to change poop, and she's like, why would you do that? I think in her head she's like, you are a whole engineer. Why are you changing poop? You get?
Yeah.
It's a small things. But
Yeah.
I don't know, I just like it.
Yeah.
I like that every morning is a new day, especially with children. Children are very interesting. If only we take time to stay with them,
Yeah.
kids are very interesting.
Wow, I like that. And I really, I what is it called? I relate with that part where they really make you be very present.
Yes.
First and foremost, you can't afford to be absent-minded when you're hanging out with kids. I want you to take us back to think of yourself, think of Muthoni growing up. By the time you were becoming aware of who do I want to be when I grow up, I want you to take us back to that. Did you desire being a career woman? What did you desire before you even, before you knew things? When you were saying, oh, I want to be what when I grow up?
Well, like, I guess we used to go through the stages. Was that I wanted to be a doctor, wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah.
Okay, engineer was never in that mix. I wanted to be a housewife.
Oh, wow.
I still say I want to be
Don't
a
mind.
housewife. And my former headmistress used to look at me like I'm crazy. Like,
Yeah.
why? She used to be like, you have brains. Why do you want to be a housewife? But I'm like, even a housewife is a good job.
Okay, did they voice these thoughts to you?
Yes. She used to say, and even now when I told her I was leaving out to come to Nairobi, and I was like, I'm going to be a housewife. She's like, why would you be a housewife?
Oh, this is the one where you.
This is my former job.
Oh,
Just
your
as
former
of
job.
recent, I was like, I want to be a housewife.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever... I think the journey, life just...
It changes.
It changes.
Things
Yes.
change. Of course, as you learn new things. you
Yes.
change.
Things change.
So, doctor?
I used to be a doctor, a pilot.
Pilot?
And then I went housewife. And then now, later on, now teacher.
So could you remember, take us back to, like now you're Form 4, you're choosing the courses. What was happening then? When you were in high school, what were you good at? Can you remember?
I was good in
And
sciences.
Okay.
So initially, I actually wanted to be a doctor. I think I might have chosen
You're
doctor.
sure you
I'm
maybe,
not too sure.
by the way.
I can't remember. But I wanted to be a doctor because I was good in sciences
Yeah.
and my maths.
Yeah.
The only thing that now I think set me back was biology because some strange reason biology we never used to. I don't know. It was. I thought I was good at it, but when I saw my results, I was like, "No, what is this?
What happened?
Yeah, what happened?" And then the one I was bad at Kiswahili, I was like, "Oh yeah, we passed." So
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think I wanted to be a doctor initially,
Yeah.
but a pediatrics. So whichever way I wanted to deal with children.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So initially I wanted to be a pediatric doctor, but then now they didn't call me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up engineering, and then now the journey
But
of
we, can't
life.
say, but we can't really peg on they didn't call you. You still had a choice and you went for environmental science.
Yes.
So I want to hear these forces or the people that affected the choices that you made. Because you still had a choice and you came in as self-sponsored student. But you still went for environmental science.
I don't know. I like I said, it was just the time then we were focusing a lot of on the environment.
On what was making in money?
Climate
what will give you money?
change. Yeah, and then also what will give me money. There was climate change. There was, I think around that time, there was a lot of talk about that. Yes. Because that's when people are becoming more aware of, our environment needs caring for. Yes, there was that time where we always used to plant trees.
Yeah.
So it was more or less. And then now when I got into environmental science, I was like, what is this? This is not... I remember there was a time we had gone to the lab and we were busy drawing fish. I was like, this is not what I signed up for. But you're supposed to know about the different things in the environment.
Yeah.
So yeah. That one I think was just by chance.
Okay.
Yeah. It was what was happening around.
And what happened to that environment? Environment, the whole thing, the theme. That vibe has never been your passion.
We moved on.
You did. Kabisa,
We
kabisa.
moved on.
Wow. So now it's totally about kids.
Yes, now it's totally about kids.
And the future. I know I asked you this, but still. So what do you see yourself doing differently? So far you've seen what you've seen, you've experienced what you've experienced. I like the fact that you said you went to different places for internship. So who do you want to impact the most? I know it's the kids, yes, but I mean, like, where did you see the biggest challenge?
Right now, I feel like it cuts around the board. However, I have realized, especially we young people who are now getting young kids, we who have made it, there's a very big problem there. We are not giving enough time to children, and then we are using substitutes to bring them up. Case in point, before I left my former school, I randomly asked the children, who has a phone? And they are 5, 6-year-olds.
Okay.
I was like, who has a phone? Half my class puts up their hand and I'm like, you guys have phones? They're like, yeah, may I have my phone? I do this. I was like, okay, fine. So then I asked those ones who have not put up your hands, do you have tablets? They're like, yeah, may I have a tablet? And I was like, by the time you're 5, 6 and you have these things, I thought there was a bit of a disconnect, yes. Because then you're busy telling me how I do this on my phone, And then it's not just the phone, it's just, there are very small aspects. Like children now are being given too much freedom. We are allowing, there's too much we are allowing, yes. There's a time I was a bit conflicted because of social media and some of the things that I follow, where they say now you beat a child, they're getting self-esteem issues and things like that. But then I go to the Bible and I'm like, even the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. Or even how foolishness is removed by the rod. There are some things, and even some parenting class I did, there are some things that just need a firm hand. You can't dialogue with a 2-year-old. That's just my thinking. You can't dialogue with a 2-year-old. Or maybe I'm old school. But I can't tell my because I have a 2-year-old. I can't tell my 2-year-old that you don't do this. She'll be like, what are you talking about? And she'll still go ahead and do the same thing. So I feel like we're becoming too lenient. We're of the age for, me, I was beaten. I don't want my child to go through the same thing. Or me, I was not given some things, but I want to give my child in the name of providing. And so there's a problem. And I feel like even in the future to come, because, my mom is a lecturer. I talk a lot about my mother.
No problem.
She's a lecturer, and sometimes she'll come and she'll be like, now these people, now what is wrong with these people? And I told her, there's a generation coming, you have not seen anything.
Also, she's teaching young.
Yeah, she's teaching.
So when she's coming to complain, it's about her class.
Yes.
Okay.
As in what is it called? Campus people. Yes. And I'm like, you have not seen anything. There's a generation that is coming. Like, we think Gen Zs are bad, but there's a generation that is coming, you will be surprised.
So the ones you're dealing with right now.
The ones we are bringing up.
Yeah.
There's a generation that is coming, we shall be surprised. And so I feel like those are the ones who need a firm, not a firm hand, but I feel like it's love. You need to love them. We should not be too compliant with what they want. Because again, now we are just like, oh, I want this.
Is it really what they want? Do we give them what they want, or do we give them what we think?
I think it's what we think.
We'll just make them comfortable.
It's what we think.
Yeah, because do they know they want a phone? For what?
And funny enough, these kids are screaming for attention. And we might think, oh, they're misbehaving, oh, they are doing this, oh, they're not listening. But I think it's just a way of crying for attention because we're not giving the attention. I myself have been I have had challenges because sometimes my child is here and I'm busy on my phone. And she reached a place, she used to take the phone, put it away. She's like, no, I'm talking to you. So even I have been a culprit. I'm not immune because again, we're also human. But it's also made me be deliberate that if we're spending time together. Yes. But I feel like the children now, even the challenges that they're experiencing, those one at my former school used to talk about how one day he came, he was like, I don't know. I have many girlfriends. I don't know which one to choose. This is a 6-year-old. I mean, that day I was like, wait. You're a 6-year-old and you're like, I don't know which one to choose, I don't know whether I should choose this one or this one. This one I'm not feeling, but this one I'm feeling. I'm like, you're 6. Why do you know these things, you know? Like, go back to the days when we were children, when life never used to be too complicated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, there's the thinking that as much as I may want to shield my children and not give them all these things and blah, 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 they'll go outside. They'll interact with the kids who are now being raised, you know, on the other side. And they'll be exposed. So why shouldn't I do it? Let me do it from my home so that they don't go and meet those things outside, or they learn them from someone else. Let them learn them from me. There's also that thinking.
But when we say that, if you have put a proper foundation, just like education, if you put a proper foundation, you do not depart from it.
Okay.
So if I give you a proper foundation now of how to read, how to write, it is easier along the way. But if you don't get a proper foundation, then there's a problem. You will struggle later in life. That one, or even, not even too far, maybe like 1, 2, 3 years later, you will struggle. So now if you're putting the proper foundation, simple things like respect, obedience, kindness, sharing, just lay the foundation, it will be easier. So even if they interact with other people out there, they already know the foundation. They're able to, they might not know themselves, but you're able to stand. You know what is right, what is wrong. Yeah.
So how are you, so did you answer that question of the challenge that you want to, or who you really want to impact?
Well, there's also the challenge for, I want to impact the children.
Yeah.
But then like now, even in my employed life and dealing with parents, parents are also a hard nut to crack. Yeah, that's a very big challenge because you're like, oh, I don't want my child, oh, I don't. So unless maybe now I do things my way, and so maybe if I start my own small thing, that's the only best way I can do it because it's on my terms. Because if I'm employed, I have to do what someone else is telling me. And if someone else is telling me, no, leave it, who am I? I leave it. Turn a blind eye.
I don't want my child this, I don't want my child that. So
and there's a lot.
All of us are coming with our own
There's
demands.
a lot, especially nowadays. Work parents, these ones who know you know yourself. There's a lot. But there's a lot. There's a lot that happens even. And I think that's why initially I wanted to start a school. But seeing how schools are run and the sometimes nonsense you have to deal with, I told myself I don't have such a heart. I don't think people would come to my school.
Why would you say that?
Because I'd be like, now what is this? Surely.
Okay.
That you're making noise at me because the teacher shouted at a child, or the teacher was firm with a child. What are we supposed to do? We're just supposed to bembeleza. This generation for baba na mama, are we just supposed to bembeleza and let them do whatever they want to do?
Wow.
But our new generation is unique. Let me put it as that. It's unique. Yes.
So if you were to do things your way, then Muthoni, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? I guess just be firm in what I stand for. Yes. Firm in what I stand for. And even now, even as I'm talking, I know there are people who will be like, hey, this one is so harsh, this one is so tough. But I guess I've learned you need to be firm in what you're standing for. You can't be allowed to be swayed. That's one thing I've learned. Because then you can't please everyone. You can't, that one is impossible. You cannot please anyone. Because you will do this for one person and the other person will be like, no, why are you doing that? This other person will be like, why are you doing that? Case in point, like when we used to close for holidays. One parent, because we closed for 2 months, one is like, yay, holiday. And I was like, what are we going to do with all this time?
Yeah.
And they're like, do you have to close? Close for 1 month. Yeah, I'm like, people, everyone needs to rest. Your child needs to rest. Your teacher needs to rest. So you see, you can't please everyone. So it's just standing firm in what you believe in. Yes, you need to know. First, you need to know yourself, and you need to stand firm in what you believe in. Yes.
So, the other question I had is, are you doing anything differently with now that you said you have a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
And now from how your mom raised you and how you're raising your 2-year-old?
Am I doing anything different? Well, I guess, well, she was intentional. I'm also intentional. Because I know she tells me how she didn't work for the first 2 years so that she could take care of me.
Okay.
Yes, so at least those intention. We are both intentional.
Intentional parents.
Yes, we are both intentional parents. If you ask her now, she'll tell you I'm very strict with my child.
Okay.
But I guess that's just because I've seen how kids are out there.
Okay.
I don't want my child to be like kids out there, which now also is a disadvantage for her to some extent because there's some things I just don't tolerate. And I guess that's why they say like children or for teachers are very straightforward.
Okay.
Yes. So, but now I try also now to remind myself, she's a child, let her just do child things. And we take one day at a time.
Yeah.
But like if you ask my mom, she'll tell you I'm very strict.
According to you, how you were raised, were you raised like in those strict, were your parents strict?
Not really.
Okay.
They were okay. They were balanced.
Okay.
Yes, they were balanced. It wasn't too bad. And so now even I have to tell myself not to be too much. Yes.
Okay.
But at least the father balances it out.
He's the easy one.
He's the easy one.
Good cop, bad cop. That balance is necessary
Yes,
in
so
any home.
Him is the
way.
chill one. So even
Yeah.
when she wants something, she runs. Like not even now because I'm staying with my mom currently, just for a bit.
Yeah.
I do something, she's like, sure. Immediately, that's the first person she'll run to.
Oh.
She's like, Mommy has chapad me, Mommy has done something.
Yeah.
So I'm also trying also not to be too extreme, but also to allow her. There's a time to be serious and there's a time for fun in games. There's a time for everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Muthoni. Do you have a parting shot in terms of first the issue of career, passion?
I'd say don't beat yourself up.
Okay.
If you chose this path
Yeah.
and it's not working,
Yeah.
shift.
Yeah.
You're not a train.
Yeah.
You don't just sit don't die in short. Life is too short to die doing something you don't like. If this is not working for you, move. Find what is working for you and move on.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's one thing I'd say. 2, experiment.
Oh.
Experiment and see what is out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we have the liberty? Actually, I remembered that I skipped as one of the questions. I wanted to ask you who was paying all these fees who paid for the 5 years and then who paid for this other early childhood. Like, your parents just...
Yes, the 5 years were paid by both my mom and dad. But now when I went to do the teaching, my dad is one who paid for it.
Wow.
Yes.
And what was his attitude towards the change?
Him is like, do you? Him is lived his life.
Yeah.
You do you. If this is what makes you happy,
Yeah.
go ye forth.
On that issue of being, that thing of experimenting, do you think young people have that liberty?
I think they do.
When you look at,
especially now, even having, I follow social media a lot.
Yeah.
Even having seen how people talk on social media, the younger generation has the ability now to experiment. And then they don't take nonsense. Like, if this is not working for me, quickly move on to the next place.
Okay.
If this job is not working for me, they move. By them, they don't stay at them. They're resilient, but you won't die there.
Okay.
Not like they before our parents used to be like, you don't like it, so you will die there. But now people are more open-minded. People are moving. If it's not working for you, move. That's what I've seen.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's liberty to experiment.
Yeah.
The only problem now is when you have responsibilities. Now that's how it becomes tricky because you can't just wake up and decide, now let me do this. Yes. True. But if you're alone by yourself, experiment all the way.
Wow. Let me tell you why I asked you, because I remember I also had almost some similar story, because I also finished and then I went and started doing another course, and then the results came out, and then my dad was like, hey, why are we struggling? Shika, I know so many what you've been called for. And of course, along the way, whether it's almost exactly similar, along the way, I was like, Daddy, I'm not feeling this. He's like, utabidi tu usome because we don't do this. Like, you don't have to work in the same field as you've studied.
Yes.
That was his answer. Now, lucky for you, your attitude didn't change. My attitude changed. Along there, I was just like, whatever happens, happens. Tutasomea exam tupite.
And you move on.
But my attitude flopped. But anyway, things turned out fairly well. We are here today. And what I wanted to say is, what I wanted to study for, or what I've always told myself, is that I'll pay. From that moment, that when I told him and I saw his reaction, I was like, okay, I will pay for what I want to study for. Because there's no way he was going to pay for me something else. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky someone was paying for me.
Yeah.
Yes, because not many people have that ability. But I feel like if it's something you really want, you will go for it.
Go for it.
Yes. If it's something you really want, you will go. And I believe the Lord makes a way. Yes. He honors the desires of your heart. So he will make a way.
Yeah.
Yes. It might be harder, where someone has to walk, someone will run.
Yeah.
So it might be harder, and we all have different journeys. But I don't feel like that should be a reason to make you not continue. Yes.
Now that we commented on this before we started recording, the issue of not knowing what you want to do when you're in high school, what can be done differently about it? Now that you're a teacher. I'm asking you because you're a teacher or you're in the education profession now.
I guess exposing, I know it's done, yes. It's just exposing children to different careers. I like what the British system do. You have like career days. So you get to meet different people doing different careers. Then that way you're able to interact and know, oh wow, I like this, I like this. So it can give you an informed mindset. I find it interesting, and we always joke, like now when people are finishing KCSE, and you all is, if not everyone wants to be either a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. Why
Those
not
are the
anything
only
else?
3 careers we recognize in Kenya. The rest of you.
But there are so many others. There are so many other careers out there. And even once I asked, how come you don't want to, if you have an A, why can't you be a policeman? Why? Like, who said being a policeman, you can't, you know, like it's in the small things. So, and then I think also we need to stop this glorifying and focusing, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. It doesn't make sense.
It was so interesting when you said everyone was calling you engineer.
I think at some point I was even saved engineer on her phone.
Yeah.
I was saved as engineer on her phone.
This episode will be called engineer something. Just be sure about that. So, and what do your students call you?
Teacher. Even now, they just call me my name because Miss Veronica. I'm called Veronica, so they call me Miss Veronica. So, but even now, even where I was working, they found out I had an engineering degree when I was leaving. They didn't know. Even my headmistress knew because she's the one who gave me the job, but they didn't know. So it's not something I go shouting at I have a degree.
Yeah, an engineer.
I shout more about the teaching than the degree.
Okay.
Yes, because that's what I'm passionate about. Yes.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
I know we said the parting shots in the middle of the episode. Is there anything else you want to say?
Don't be afraid. That's what I'd say. Don't be afraid. Take the risk. Life is about risks. Take the risk. Yes. And though, at least try and complete something before moving to the next thing.
I like that.
Yes.
I really like that because you've already said, you've said how the young people who are in campus right now, the way they are moving and they are living things like, I'm not feeling this, I'm moving. I'm not feeling this. This career is not, or this office is not working for me today. I'm out of here. I'm moving. So when you combine the strengths of the fact that you can move on as easily and also the strength of just staying and finishing something, I really like that. That's engineer Miss Veronica for you. I couldn't wait to say that. Thank you so much for watching. comment, like, share. Have a good one.